Well, I introduced myself before. I'm Hilmar Vegar. I'm CEO of CCP, and I'm here to talk to you about Internet spaceships. So, EvenLine was a little game we made 20 years ago in maybe a similar environment as we're going into here, and I am going to now call it, for context, the first database game. EvenLine is literally the first game that was made on a database. And on some abstract level, a blockchain is a weird database. Everyone thought it was weird to make a database game when we were making EvenLine. I literally sat on panels at GDC debating whether you should use a database or persistent to flat files. So there is something about like the lesson from the first database game I think is relevant to the Web3 thing. And this talk is a little bit about, it actually isn't very much about the database. So let's go through that. It actually is about this. It's about love. Why has EvenLine gone on for 20 years? It's actually not powered by the database. It's powered by love. So this is a talk in a Web3 conference about love. Think about that. OK, so how does the game that is mostly known for being a total capitalistic health, death, pain simulator generate love? Yeah, that's strange. So a little bit about EvenLine, just kind of the facts and figures. It's been going for 20 years, 1.1 million active characters. This is like a, if you were to think about like active wallets, this would be the KPI for EvenLine. 37 million characters have been created. Daily trades on our market system are about 1 million. 10,000 transactions per second, like hundreds of millions of trades per year, 250 million spaceships built, and most of them destroyed. We come from Iceland. It's a small place. It's an artificial society in a way. It's so tiny, it doesn't really emerge properly into being a society. So when you live in Iceland, it's very easy to see the design primitives of a society. If you take the Icelandic fish money called ISK, like the money in EvenLine abroad, nobody really accepts it. People laugh you out of the room if you try to use the money in EvenLine. Iceland has more sheep than people, and EvenLine has more characters than sheep plus people in Iceland, which is like a KPI. Next up is Sweden. If you're in the Nordics, then we're coming for you, Sweden. EVE is also a massive IP. Like over 60 million people have kind of participated in the many different games we've made. We've made shooters, we've made VR games, we've made mobile games, and right now this is the Project Awakening thing we're doing. So this is how it began. This is us in Iceland. This is the indie rock band stage. It was also made by people that didn't know what they were doing. We had never met a game developer ever. Nobody had made a game. We've not even seen a game developer from afar. And you can see it when you play EvenLine. Yes, this game is not made by game developers, I guess. This sort of putting coordinate system, you see it on the monitor, like 20 years ago. This is me playing EvenLine on paternity leave. I am literally mining to pay back a spaceship I lost. This is Eva. It's just to give a sense, 20 years, it's a bit of an abstraction. Like, it's the time period of adult humans being born and screens getting thin. This is the first version of EvenLine. The first database game looked like this. So comparing current Web3 games, like this is maybe the state, just sort of putting that out there. So it took about 3 years to turn this into the EvenLine that was then shipped. So even if it starts with simple means, I mean, a lot can be done in a short amount of time. This is what EvenLine looks today. This is a spaceship soup. and this is the Guinness World Record of spaceship soup making. We have like, the record is something about 8,000 people in full-on PvP deathmatch. It's insane. The fact that the servers can tolerate this has been a 20-year journey. The database started as very, very crappy. It's getting decent right now. So building games for crappy databases is somewhat of an expertise. It's also, we've made sure it always looks very well. This literally is a screenshot from EVE Online when it ships. Here's the kind of current scene in our current engine. So we've made an effort since beginning that EVE should look like a movie. It shouldn't look like a game. So when it came out here, like literally nobody believed these were actual in-game graphics. And I mean, right now you could confuse EVE for a movie. It's like a stylized space movie. We do a lot to keep it up to date. We're just releasing Havoc. I'm wearing the t-shirt. But it's really about the players. So if I count all the minutes and the times that people have played in EVE Online, and I look at some data about how long it took to build the Pyramid of Giza, EVE players have built 10. It could be a good or a bad thing based on how you do it. I mean, they're not building pyramids, they're building titans. This is a titan in EVE Online. It has like a, I don't know, like a market price because we have a stable coin-like construct called Plex inside EVE Online, so you can give it like, this is like, you would need to invest through the Plex system $5,000 to own a titan. The first one was built by 4,000 people over a period of 4 months. Obviously, a much more valuable construct at that time. It was the unique one. It was destroyed a week later. It was called Steve. May Steve rest in peace. So we look at our players and have always looked at them kind of like co-creators. Really, the important bits in EVE Online are the stories from EVE. This is the Guiding Hand Social Club heist that happened in 2004 and frankly saved EVE Online from death. This article in PC Gamer really got the message out, is that anything goes in EVE Online, and that was very attractive. The fact that you could infiltrate a corporation and heist it obviously had never been achieved in any game. And again, it is an emergent property. It's a user innovation. You're usually making a playground for your players to invent something. And this routinely happened to the point like where BBC is like reporting on drama in EVE Online as if it is just happening. It's one of our great achievements, I think, is to have the mainstream press talk about EVE Online as if it were just happening. Routinely, people talk about EVE in these terms, even if this is an MMO with RMT being against the EULA. This is very much how people talk about it, because it puts kind of in your brain the reference point that people understand. Most recently, there was a documentary made about EVE Online. It's 6 hours long. It's called Down the Rabbit Hole. Google it on YouTube. It's amazing. It's also a little bit painful to watch. This has not always been easy, and it's very accurate. Highly encourage everyone that is going on a 6-hour flight to download the documentary and watch it. I can do no justice beyond what this documentary does. So, I mean, ultimately, EVE Online is more a society than it is a game, and it hasn't always been pretty. We have had many moments of protest. Here's an example. This is a monument in EVE Online, which people were shooting 24/7 in like Occupy Wall Street-like protests, because we were doing clumsy things, I would call them, around monetization. And here's the broken statue. We kind of updated the statue as a monument to what it takes to make a society, even if part of that is just kind of owning the fact it's not going to be easy. Monuments are a thing with EVE Online. We erected this monument in 2013 after 10 years, and we upgraded it to level 2 at the 20-year birthday earlier this year. The goal is to build a pyramid here on the harbor of Iceland, piece by piece. So stay tuned for the third decade upgrade. So often this gets lost a bit, sort of. I mean, I was talking about the panel, just make a great game is a bit of a, I don't know, a cop-out to the conversation of how does kind of this go. I think you could argue that EVE Online maybe doesn't really meet the criteria of, if you try to play EVE Online, it is thoroughly confusing. I mean, installing a wallet in Web3 is kid stuff comparing to EVE Online. It's literally how you play EVE Online. And we're not like kidding about it in the marketing message. Like, this is a hard game to play. But what emerges from that is this amazing community. And we have always been kind of given this message of like, you join for the graphics, you stay for the community. And we have spent the last, I don't know, 20 years to better understand what really is a community. A community is a very big abstract word, and you should build a community, but doesn't like inform a lot on the details. So we've come up with this through studying, interviewing, surveying EVE players of like, why are people playing the same game for 20 years? And we have thousands of people that have logged into EVE Online every single day for 20 years. And these two things come out. It is the friends you've made in the game, and it's the skills you've acquired through playing the game. So if we look into the friendship part, so 73% of EVE players say they've made a new friend through playing the game. And that is obviously a beautiful thing. This is where Powered by Love comes in. Friendship is a form of love. So how does capitalistic hellscapes emerge as friendship and love? And that is when we listen to players. I've been able to use EVE to meet other veterans. There's a lot of people that have gone to war that love playing EVE Online. It helps them with PTSD and other things. Holding off my wedding so I can fly a courtmate and his family over. I've been able to pull myself out of a very dark hole because there were people there to help me. So this has emerged into this concept, like it's a spaceship game, but the best ship in EVE Online is friendship. And that is obviously very important. Loneliness is an epidemic. Friendship is dying out as a concept. So anything that increases that is a good thing. And we've spent a lot of time understanding why is it that EVE Online has this property around itself to create friendship. And there is a formula of how you make a friend. We're obviously engineers, so we're trying to like, the formula for friendship is something you can kind of act on. It's about proximity, frequency, duration, and intensity. So you can think of many relationships in your life. Are they friendships or are there other forms of relationships? And a lot of it is very casual and frivolous. You're maybe meeting people frequently, maybe with some duration, but without intensity. It takes a very long time to become other than just kind of just sort of a passing acquaintance. Like, when does it become friendship? And intensity is that. And this is where the murder-death simulator that is EVE Online, it is very good at creating intensity. You can see heart rates from people that are often posted on Reddit when they're playing EVE Online. It's like running a marathon, like being in PvP in EVE Online. Like your heart rate is above 200. It's pretty insane to see. So it's extremely intense because there's such high stakes. Like the death penalty in EVE Online is brutal, as per the Titan story. 4,000 people for 4 months built a Titan, which is then destroyed a week later, and it's all gone. So that is where the intensity is born. So without this, it doesn't really happen. Or it takes a very long time to happen. So this is really a message about, like, don't be afraid of the game being brutal. The counter story of that is then you create love. This is usually why people play online. They experience devastating loss. And the support of others to either understand the context or being helped out of it is really what creates retention in EVE Online. It's to a point where if we survey our players, most of them say, you would think it would be, I like to compete, I like to do combat, I mean, it's a bit of that, but most of EVE players self-identify as people that like to help other people, which in a way makes sense, even if this wasn't like the design cohort we were designing for. In a game where so many things can go wrong, obviously there's a lot of people that need help. And the people that self-identify as helpers are the happiest. Like, the happiest people, the biggest cohort and the most happy cohort in EVE Online are people that like to help others. And obviously, when you're building a community, this is the backbone of any community. It is the people that would like to help others. So what emerged out of, and the first line in the EVE Online script was, death is a serious matter. And that turned out to be a great way to create love. EVE players help all around the world. There's a lot of programs that the community runs on their own, mostly through this Plex system, which is like a stablecoin-ish thing inside EVE Online. Here's like the EVE players have collected over $1 million to help around the world over the past almost 20 years. Often the friendship and the relationships turn into like more different type of relationship. This is me marrying EVE players in Iceland. Came to me. We would like to get married at FanFest in Iceland, and we would like me to do it, or they would like me to do it. It was a bit strange, and I kind of asked them, is this really what you want? Especially the woman, or is this really what you want? And they really wanted it. Now we have a Space Pope, which is another community construct. An emergent outcome is the Space Pope. He now does the marrying. He's been ordained by the EVE community to marry people. So it's a game powered by love. And I'm going to skip a bit now over the skills, because it's almost like another science expedition. Also, what has created around the game and the community is that there's a lot of activity in the game going on. And a lot of it is engineers making software to play the game through an API gateway. And then there's a whole lot of things that emerge on top of that. And when I look at this in its totality, then there's no way to include all this in the business model of the game. EVE Online is mostly a subscription game with some microtransactions, which basically means CCP kind of hoards all the money and all the business that is there. We do have a program where we share it. It's called the EVE Partners Program, and it's sort of, I mean, these are fine things, but they're all very sort of clunky and thought after the fact. So we have been thinking for a while, is there a way, now knowing that this is the emergent outcome, how could we better equip an ecosystem like this for that? And that has resulted in this concept called Project Awakening, where we're going to take these 20 years of understanding of what it is to build communities, create pain, death, and suffering that leads to love, and that leads to this massive emergent ecosystem. How do we better build for that? And let me tell you, that is not easy. Because, like, if you really want to make this again from scratch, then this quote is great. If you wish to make an apple pie from scratch, you must first invent the universe. And when we invented EVE Online, we weren't like deeply thinking about it, but now we live in this very tricky domain of a curse of knowledge. We know way too much about what it takes to create a universe. Because, I mean, here's another YouTube recording of me sleep-deprived, crunching for EVE Online. building a society and supplying the tools and the rules to operate it. When you do that on-chain, and now I am, okay, this is actually not the right slide. Okay, sorry. And then I know we obsess a lot about that, like possession being 9/10 of the law. And it's a very interesting concept that you can own things that you don't possess. So I now possess this clicker. It's very hard to prove it isn't mine. Frankly, it's nigh impossible that this clicker isn't mine. Maybe I brought it, maybe I took it here. Nobody really knows. I currently have it. Good luck taking it. So there's a massive legal construct that needed to be invented to prove that you can own things you no longer possess. And it's largely Hammurabi in Babylon that comes up with it. It's the Code of Hammurabi. It's 282 rules. There are very interesting to read when it comes to kind of evolution of mankind. We have come a long way. It's not very flattering on gender equality and humans as objects and God knows what. But it does become the foundation. And Hammurabi says, I, Hammurabi, have clay tablets in the basement. I have police to enforce the rules, and I have a military to protect the tablets. And since then, nothing much has happened. Like, this is how we kind of live. There's one, I mean, obviously this works very well. I mean, I do the same thing. Like the EULA of EVE Online is just like the TLDR is like Hilmar owns everything, and you get to play with it if he's in a good mood. And he even has a sword to protect the database. But ultimately, I have like these guys to protect the database. Database is somewhere here in the Docklands area. And I mean, it's cool. I mean, 20 years, first database game. But then going back, okay, massive community, is there a new design construct? Is this really something that, like, how does this relate to that? Like, does it really? And my sort of contrast is kind of, okay, we're in a way inventing ownership. Digital is kind of irrelevant in this, but ownership, without the violence and without the caveats. Like in the world of Hammurabi, there was a lot of caveats about the police and the army and the mood of Hammurabi, etc., etc. And now we're going to have nerds with algorithms. That's the new. There's no army, there's no police, it's nerds with algorithms. So this is very interesting and exciting. It's also deeply complicated to make it work. But, and I'm going to skip here over these things because I never have time to get through this stuff. Because of this, so we're actually quite far along. We're holding a playtest now on the 6th of December. You're all invited. So if you want to join this madness of reinventing a universe from scratch, then you can join here. Encourage everyone to do it. That's the best way to experience and contribute to this. And that's it. See you on December 6th. Thank you.